For the last couple of years, I've been spoiled with Apple Play in the vehicle that I drive to work and back. And now I've got a different vehicle and it doesn't have Apple Play. It's got Uconnect, which is, I think, the system that Chrysler's used in their cars over the years. And it's a great system. It's got built-in nav and it's got a real nice screen. But it doesn't have CarPlay, and I did some research on how to convert it to CarPlay. It seemed like a very expensive method. So I figured I'm going to try out one of these little generic, basically add-on screens that gives you CarPlay capability on this 9-inch screen in this case, and then you just add it to your existing car stereo with either a couple different ways of getting the audio in there. We'll take a look at that. But it looks like an easy way to do it, so I wanted to test that out. So we're going to go ahead and open this thing up, test it out on the bench here first, get it all set up, and then we'll take it out to the car. So without any further ado, let's open this thing up. Alright, so in the package here was, of course, the screen, and it's a 9-inch screen. It seems pretty solidly built. We'll look at all the different connections that it's got here in a second. Let's see what else came in here. We've got the USB car charger here, so just basically cigarette lighter adapter. It goes to USB-C. It looks decently long to get pretty much anywhere in the vehicle. We've got a suction cup mounting plate, so if you want to put that on your dash, you stick that down to your dash, because we do have the suction cup mount itself. So this would either go up to your window, or it could go to that mounting place there and then attach to the screen. Gives you a couple different points of articulation. Looks like this may extend out also. We'll take a look at that in a second. Then we've got another mounting option, which is just the flat plate. A little adhesive there, stick it down to your dash, and then has a basically just a tilt articulation there to attach to the screen. And then we've got an aux cable inside here, a little screwdriver, some more adhesive stuff. I think this is, looks like another one of these adhesive pads in case you want to replace it. Yep, it looks about the same size, so that's nice if you're moving it to a different car. We've got, of course, the instruction booklet, which is decently thick. And then this model came with a reverse camera, so you could mount this on the back of your car, and it gives you plenty of cable length there to get that to the front of this. So there is an option to have a reverse camera, and on the back of this there is actually a forward-facing camera that records right into this device. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to use either one of those cameras. The car itself has a built-in backup camera on the Uconnect system. And depending on where I mount this thing, I'm not sure if I'm going to have it mounted up on the dashboard facing forward, or if I'm going to have it mounted off to the side of the other screen. Will depend on if I use that dash cam or not. Now there's lots of warnings on here. I haven't looked at the instruction book yet, but there's lots of warnings about how to set it up, and a lot of warnings about how close you put your car charger to the CarPlay device, and how far you put your phone to the charger. So I'm not sure if this charger, if there's been some issues with interference coming out of this thing or not. But this is just, like I said, a USB-C device. I'm guessing, let's see what the output is here. Output says 5 volts at 1 amps on the USB. And then for the cord itself, 5 volts at 3 amps. So I'm not sure why there's so many warnings about it, but we'll figure that out as we go. So I'm just going to set this up with the kind of the flat mount here for while we're testing it inside, and then we'll figure out how to mount it once we get it out to the car. But let's go ahead and get a power cable plugged into it and see what the screen looks like. Now before we power this thing on, let's go ahead and look at some of the other connections here. It looks like we got a speaker on the back here, which I think you can use that as an output if you wanted to, but obviously it wouldn't sound very good. Nothing on this side, nothing on the top. Here is the camera back here, and like I said, not sure if we're going to use that, but it's got a little bit of articulation there. So all your connections are going to come in on this side. You got the USB-C there for the power input. You've got a AV input right here, which would be the input for the reverse camera. You've got a little micro SD card in there. I'm sure that's going to be for recording to the dash cam. And then you got the aux out. So that's probably what I'm going to be using, is just having an aux out. There is an FM modulator built into this that you could play it out to your FM radio if you didn't have an aux in, which is nice, but we're going to go ahead and use that aux in since I do have one. So let me go ahead and get this thing powered up, and we'll take a look at the screen again. Alright, to make everything easy as far as power goes, I went ahead and just plugged in the 12 volt adapter into this EcoFlow here. Let me just pan the camera real quick so you can see that. And it's just going right into the 12 volt cigarette lighter plug. So that's going to give it the power while we're testing it here on the bench. And because there's so much glare, I'm going to go ahead and turn off some of these lights here. Now what you're seeing now, this is not reflections. This gray stuff here is not reflections. That is the background that I believe we can change as we go. So I've got the studio all the way dark out here so we can see that screen nice and clear. And as soon as it got power, it turned on. There was no power switch or anything, so as soon as it saw that USB-C input, it just powered up. It gave me a little chime, and it said that the recording was started. So I don't know if this right here is showing that the recording is already started for the dash cam. And I've not looked at the instruction book yet, but we're going to see what we can figure out about this and see how intuitive it is. So obviously I haven't hooked up any phone to it yet. This is just the default settings here. Let's see what this power button does. Well, yeah, guess what it does? It turns the thing off. And then I just tap the screen, it turns back on. So I guess maybe that's just a screen blackout. Let's see what this next button does here. Looks like some kind of maybe a backlight. Yep, so a brightness for it. So you can change the brightness, or it looked like it was set to auto automatically, which is nice. And it notices that there's no light in here right now, so it's turning that down. On the right here, we've got a little volume speaker thing. Again, gives us just touch control of the volume. So since we're going to be using the aux out on this, I'm just going to set that at a certain level, and then of course use the steering wheel controls and the dashboard controls to control the audio volume once I get it into a car. And then we got the settings here. I'm sure that's going to have a bunch of settings, so we'll come back to that later. So the last thing that we didn't look at here was right in the middle, and it looks like a aperture, camera symbol. So I'm sure that's going to be, yep, that is the front-facing dash camera. So that's kind of neat. It says it's 4K H265 Ultra HD. So it might actually be a pretty decent dash cam built into it. And let's go back to home. So let's click on this button up here, see what it does. And that's just looks like just an indicator that it's recording. Let's see what the save button does. Nothing so far. Maybe I need to get this set up to my phone before some of this stuff works. So I've got the options here for CarPlay, Android Audio, Android Cast. Here's my audio output options. Let's test that out. So right now it's set up to speaker. We can actually Bluetooth this out to our car, which is convenient, but I think it would just add maybe a little bit extra latency and a little bit extra compression. We got the FM modulator. Let's see what these look like. Yep, Bluetooth to the car. FM modulator, you're just going to set up a frequency that's blank in your area and then tune your car into that. And then aux is going to be probably the most preferred one. And then just says adjust the volume on the original car. So let's go back to home again. And I think it's time to go ahead and set up CarPlay. So let's push that button there. And let me set my phone up to it, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I just found it in the Bluetooth settings just like it said on the screen. I selected it. It recognized it as a CarPlay device, asked me if I wanted to use it as CarPlay, and I said yes. And here we are. This is right here at Apple CarPlay, just like it looks like on the other vehicle I was driving just previously to changing to the car that doesn't have CarPlay. So this is all very familiar. I've got maps over here. Got my podcasts, including the FamilyGeekery Podcast. Go check that out. And then my phone. And looks like I can go ahead and come in here and yeah, crash it. So that was interesting. So I had my first crash already. Let's go back into CarPlay and see if I can. I must have hit, instead of swiping, I must have hit this smart screen here. Yep, that's what it did. So it didn't crash. That's just my finger. So this is not as nice and silky smooth as like an iPad screen is, but it's not bad. It's not the worst screen that I felt before. Now let's see what this button over here is. And it looks like just a quick menu to get to the camera and back to home and to the audio settings maybe. Yep, go ahead and set that up. And it's very snappy as far as changing from screen to screen. Works really well. So this thing was super easy to set up. I think the next step we need to do is bring it out to a car and see what it looks like and see what it sounds like coming out the speakers. Alright, before I go out to the car real quick, I did remember that I saw that Android cast button on there, and I wanted to see what that was all about. Now, I don't use a Android phone day to day, but I do have plenty of Android devices. So I did click on that Android cast button, and it had me download a little app called TC Link, I think it was, from the Android Google Play Store. And as soon as you set that up, it asked permission to cast to another device. It found this device automatically, and I said go, and this is YouTube playing right from a Android phone. I think it connects Wi-Fi over to this device in this case, or maybe Bluetooth, I'm not sure. And it worked pretty easy. Now, I don't suggest you doing this if you're driving down the road and you want to play a movie or something on your screen, but it is nice that it has that option. So let's go bring this thing out to the car. Alright, so here it is, just sitting up top of my dashboard right now. It's not stuck down with anything because I'm going to figure out a better way to mount this. But sitting up top here, it looks great and it works fine, but I think I want a little bit different setup as far as where it's going to be mounted permanently. I'm a little concerned about this thing sitting out in the sun, right underneath the windshield for too long. It does get quite hot here in the summer, so I wouldn't want to fry this thing up. But I'm thinking maybe one of those cup holder mounts for like a tablet that has an articulating arm, that may work pretty good. Or just the suction cup down to the dash using that little dashboard disc thing and have it come down, closer here, closer to the radio. So right now I've just got it hooked up to power on this cable here, and then the aux cable here. And the aux cable is a little bit short for my application, at least how it is sitting right now, because my aux input to the radio is inside the center console and not down here where all the cigarette lighter is and everything. So the cigarette lighter is plenty long, but again, it is kind of dangling down this dashboard. I don't have anything tidied up at all, but it is kind of dangling down. But I think if I did bring this whole thing down, off the side here using one of those cup holders, then the cables would be a lot shorter run right down into where the cigarette lighter is. But you can see the size of it compared to my Uconnect. I think my Uconnect's called an 8-inch screen, and this is a 9-inch screen. So if I didn't have all the extra controls going through this Uconnect, like the climate and the heated seats and everything, you could almost mount it right here in front. But that's not going to work because I do need to still get to the screen, but we'll figure that out. But as far as just how it looks and how it works and how it sounds inside here, and I can't play the audio right now because I'm recording with the same phone that's connected to it, but everything looks and works and functions great. So just once I get a permanent fixed place for it, then I think I'm going to be very happy with it. Alright, so I've been driving around with this thing all day, and I've got some more observations I'd like to share. The first one's really good news, and that is that the cigarette lighter plug in my car is actually switched, which means when you turn the car off, it shuts off the power to whatever's plugged into it. So this thing shuts off as soon as you shut off the car, and when you recrank the car, it boots back up, it reconnects to your phone, and it continues playing whatever it was playing before. So that's really cool. I was kind of afraid that you'd have to resync your Bluetooth and go back to what you were doing and play it again, but it just like any other car that's got CarPlay built into it, it just does it all automatically, so that's really good news. The second thing is that once I had it hooked up in the car and I was using the aux cable to go from here into the car, I obviously had volume control at the steering wheel because it's just turning up and down the volume of the car stereo, but the controls on the steering wheel for track forward and track back and play and pause and stuff like that, they didn't work because obviously they're talking to the stereo and the stereo isn't doing anything. This thing is playing everything, or actually your phone is. So then I thought, well, let's go ahead and try switching the audio output to Bluetooth. Then I thought maybe I'd get some controls that way, so I did that. And as soon as I got to this page here, which I didn't see before, it says, please use your phone to connect the Bluetooth to the original car stereo. So this isn't hooking up to your stereo. Your phone is still talking to your stereo with the audio, and your phone is also talking to this for the CarPlay stuff. So it's not going Bluetooth from the phone to here, Bluetooth from here to the stereo. It's still just going just like a regular built-in car stereo. So the end result was the audio still sounded great, and I did have full control of the phone track forward and track back and everything from the car steering wheel. And then the other added benefit is one less cable coming out of the side here, so I don't have to use the aux cable anymore, just this power cable, and it all works great. And one last thing, just in case you're wondering, this clock right here has nothing to do with your phone at all. Once you go into CarPlay, then the clock that's on the CarPlay screen does match your phone. But for this one here on the main menu here, you have to go into the settings and then system, and then there is a place to set the date and time. So I'm not sure why they would do that, but I guess it makes sense because when you're on this screen here, you haven't necessarily connected up to any type of phone yet. So it's just going to use some kind of internal clock. So that's going to wrap it up for this little review of the Avylet RC07 wireless car stereo DVR CarPlay thingy. And for the price, I am extremely happy that I'm able to get CarPlay into my car without doing anything crazy and expensive. Once I figure out a way to mount this thing in there, then this thing's going to pay for itself in no time, just with the sheer factor that I can get to my podcasts and get to my music and everything, and even have, maps that are updated. The nav system that's in my car is all Garmin based and I love it, but it is kind of out of date, so having, Google Maps and Apple Maps built into the CarPlay is going to be nice as well. So if you want to check this thing out, I'll leave some links down in the comments below. It does go on sale from time to time, and there are coupons for it from time to time, so keep an eye out for those. There are a lot of these devices available of different sizes and different name brands and stuff. All I can tell you is this one right here, I'm very happy with. But that's going to wrap it up for this review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, then I appreciate a thumbs up. If you want to see more nifty stuff and geeky stuff and product reviews, go ahead and check out the rest of the channel. But I thank you as always for watching, and until next time, peace out and geek out.